Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a generous helping of brute force and looming demeanors. This is the world of the largest production motorcycle in the world. It's the 399,000 Rand Triumph Rocket 3, the R model. 2.5 liters spread across 3 giant cylinders to make a motorcycle that is truly bonkers. And we have an abandoned road, so the obvious thing to do now is open the taps and see what happens. Alright, here we go. Ignition on, push button, wait for the welcome thing. Digital spool, that's pretty cool. It just sort of appears. Bike needs a service, but that's okay. Start it. Whoa! It's like starting a truck. It's a two-wheel truck, and it moves every time you go just a little bit sideways, like a GS. Which makes sense. Cranks on sideways. Oh, first gear, clonk. That's a good feeling clonk though. It's like the clonk of something big moving into something else big. The way it should be. Okay, here we go. Oh. It's a weird sensation. It's the weirdest sensation I've ever felt. Honestly, it's like opening a throttle on a planet. The whole planet starts moving forward. And you know how much power it takes to start a planet? It takes an inline 2.5 litre motor, but what do we have to show for all this capacity? Well, 165 horsepower. A commendable amount, but not really enough to grab headlines. For that, you want to look at the torque output. 221 Newton meters of torque. In a motorcycle. That's madness. It also means this planet goes from 0 to 100 in 2.7 seconds. This thing is all about brute force. What you got here is a giant engine with 2 wheels stuck on it. Yeah, 2 wheels and handlebars, and they've been good enough to give me a seat. They found somewhere around all that engine to give me a seat. It's very nice of them. And if you think any of this comes in a fat-free version, you'll be mistaken. The Rocket 3 weighs in at a staggering 291 kilograms. Yeah, when I say heavy, early on a youth threw a rock at me. It missed, and instead of just whizzing past, it kind of started circulating the motorbike. Like a moon. Yeah, it went into orbit. This thing attracts moons. The modern day trend in motorcycling is to build a bike that looks big, but then make it feel small when you get on it. So like all these adventure bikes, for example, look huge, but then when you get on it, you find the area you kind of occupy is actually be made slim and trim and easy to use. Not so with this. You want a big motorbike. You are riding a big motorcycle. And they let you know there's this huge tank out here in front of you. Your feet are very far apart. And again, it just feels like a lot of engine. The bars are sort of intimidating. While 291 kilograms is a lot, it's somehow 40 kilograms less than its predecessor. That famously required its rider, whenever it got to a corner, to stop, hire a crane, get it to turn the bike, and then head off in the direction you wanted to go. Not so here. Weirdly, this bike does go around corners. I don't know how. I suppose planet is at a constant orbit, corner around the moon. It's just perpetually going round and around the sun with its knee down. So I suppose it could work on one of these. Why not? Well done to Triumph. They made a planet handle. And the seating helps. Unlike the laid-back Rocket GT, the R model, is more muscle than comfort. The foot pegs are further back and more neutral, meaning the rider has a more attentive, sit-up straight poise. This is the R model, so you kind of sit up and give people dirty looks. So you're lucky you had that visor down, or you'd feel very dirty looked at. That's true. Weirdly, the seating position isn't bad. I mean, the seat, I've had more uncomfortable seats, and that's on adventure motorcycles. I mean, that should tell you something. And foot pegs, I mean, they're a bit forward, they're a little bit sort of neutral, but a little bit forward. Not too much, otherwise you're sitting on your coccyx, and the handlebars are kind of far enough away, there's enough space. I'm okay, I can actually park here all day, quite happily. I mean, there's no screen, so I'm not going to do 200 kilometers an hour all day, but, you know, apart from that, I'll sit here all day. You want a GT for that. This is the hardcore bike. There's no fancy screen, fancy everything, just hardcore. Yeah, dirty looks, yeah. Here's another dirty look. See it? Yeah, I thought so. Don't mess with me on my Rocket 3R.
While the seating position is not bad, it is better on smoother roads. Like all motorcycles with a cruiser-ish styling and big 240 rear tires, there's not a lot of room for suspension. The shower units in this do their best, but the bigger bumps come as a bit of a shock. The alternative would be fitting taller suspension, but that would ruin the looks. And we like the looks, especially as the real way to ride this bike is so that people have time to see it.
The fun in this bike, and bikes like this, these sort of muscly bikes, is the way they're able to accelerate. So it's not actually a bike for going fast on. If anything, this bike's better cruising. You're better off just cruising. Going at a cruising pace. When you get too fast, it gets a bit blowy and windy and it sort of spoils it. But what it is very good at is going from a slow speed to a fast speed. So for example, I slow down, change down, I'm going to go to second gear actually, and then I'm going to hook it. And there we go. My shoulders are no longer located. I'm going to need a doctor. I'm going to need a paramedic, orthopedic surgeon to put my shoulders back. That's what that is. That's what happens when you try and hold back a planet.
And weirdly, the same is true when you're trying to do the opposite.
I've got this theory that bikes that are big and heavy slow down a bit better than bikes that are very light. Simply because they're so stable. And the other bikes just get out of shape. This does not. It's got big discs, big pads, big everything, proper Brembo, monoblock, M50, thingamabobs, all that good stuff. So when you want to brake, you just hit anchors. Anyway, my body shot forward and relocated my shoulders. That's good news.
To add to this is Triumph cornering ABS, plus every other electronic gadget you can imagine, including on this specific bike a two-way quick shifter that works admirably considering big engines often accompanied by clunky gearboxes. But this is looking at the details. What really makes this bike work is to step back and take it all in.
What I like most about this bike is its sort of presence. Triumph somehow makes everything they do look so good. They are outdoing the Italians these days. They just are. They just are. Sorry, Italians, you've been outdone by the English. I don't know how, but it's like every single time you walk out of anywhere and you look at it, you feel yes. When you get on it, you go yes. When you open the throttle, you go yes. Everything about this bike is just yes. It's a glorious motorcycle. It's absolutely stupid, but it's glorious. I love it.
There's not a good, logical reason to have a 2.5 litre motorcycle, except because it is bonkers. It's a ridiculously good-looking, bonkers motorcycle. Everything a bonkers motorcyclist wants.